CBS Sports HQ presented by Caesar Sportsbook. We're going to pick each and every game against the spread here on CBS Sports HQ. Pete Prisco, Brady Quinn standing by. Short week coming at a terrible time for the banged-up Cleveland Browns. They host the Broncos on Thursday night. Case Keenum is going to start at quarterback for the injured Baker Mayfield.
Week 7 in the NFL kicks off in Cleveland with the Browns and Broncos in desperate need of a win to keep pace in the AFC playoff picture. The Broncos' 3-0 start now seems like a distant memory and have now dropped 3 straight after their ugly loss to the Raiders.
We didn't play good enough, obviously, and I think it came down to the deep balls on both sides of the ball.
Things aren't going any better for Cleveland either. They too, like Denver, got off to a promising 3-1 start, but let one slip away at SoFi and then were blown out at home against the Cardinals.
It was just one of those days. We couldn't get things going. We got punched in the mouth.
But this week, the Browns will have to dig deep. Baker Mayfield, running backs Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt all out because of injuries. It will be veteran quarterback Case Keenum making his first start since 2019.
You don't have to get ready if you stay ready. I've been ready since I got here, so I'm excited. I'm ready.
Despite recent struggles, these are 2 proud franchises who are not only determined to get it right, but also plenty of playoff history against one another. First, there was the drive by John Elway, which sent the Broncos to the Super Bowl. Then they would meet again the following year in the AFC Championship game, this time in Denver, in a game known as the Fumble by Ernest Biner, crushing the hearts of Browns fans. To this day, the Browns haven't won a Super Bowl and were one of the favorites to do so coming into the season. Can they right the ship at home, or will Denver get back on track in Seatown? Week 7 is about to get underway.
Do they really call it Seatown?
No one calls it Seatown.
I didn't think so. Amanda Guerra thinks Cleveland's called it.
They call it the land. We refer to it as the land, but no one calls it Seatown.
I'm Chris Hassel. That's Brady Quinn and Pete Prisco. We're going to pick every game against the spread, beginning with the Thursday nighter. We've got to show you the standings beforehand.
Yes.
Pete, you're getting a little bit of separation here.
He is. He had a solid week last week.
I had a good week.
I had a loser.
Oh, you had a bad week, Brady.
Yeah. I was actually 6-8 against the spread and 6-8 over-unders. Struggling mightily.
Yeah, ever since you bragged about your over-unders, you've gone right down to shooting.
No, I'm still up in the grand scheme.
I don't know if you are anymore.
Yeah, I might be even now. Yeah.
4 games under 500 against the spread is Brady. Pete putting the pedal to the metal right now. We've got a bunch of buys this week. Bills, Cowboys, Vikings, Steelers, Chargers, and Jags. This is a matchup between 3-3 teams, and we're going to pick it at 3.5 here, but we understand the line's moving down closer to 2 or so.
Wait. Before we get to the picks.
Yeah?
The Browns called, and they were wondering, have you filed your retirement papers yet?
I haven't. This was actually the first start of my career. Was against the Broncos.
Have you filed your retirement papers yet?
No. Here. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't take much to be able to come back to this.
Did they make the call?
This was my first start, though. Thursday Night Football against the Denver Broncos.
Well, let's get back to it. Let's get to making your last start.
Yeah, it might be. With the way offensive line is.
The way you're picking games, you might want to get back to
I need a little luck. I need a little more luck than I had when I was playing.
No Brady, but it'll be Case Keenum to start.
Yeah, I think it's in a tough spot. I can go back to my first game starting. You have 1 day of practice, 1 day to prepare. The good thing for him is that he's at least been in the system for a while. He understands that they've got a talented roster out around him, even though it's banged up, and in particular at the running back spot. And that's really, I think, where their Achilles heel is right now. You have to buy into Dearness Johnson and Demetric Felton, who I actually think will be able to be impactful in this game because he's a slash player. So you don't need him to necessarily carry the football 30 times, but he can touch the ball 20 times. He can make an impact in this game. All that being said, though, I think the Denver Broncos, when they've got a guy like Von Miller coming in saying he's going to kill who's ever across from him, I mean, it's like Denver understands how competitive that division is. They can't afford to lose many more games. The Browns are just in a tough spot. So I'll go ahead and I'll take the 2 points and be on the side of the Denver Broncos here. I hate to admit it, but I'll go ahead and take those 2 points.
I was taking the Broncos whether Mayfield played or not. Yeah. And in large part, we don't know the status of the 2 tackles. And the line that was out there last week was awful. Once their identity is run the football, play power football, and throw off of that. If you can't run the ball consistently, they have major problems. So I was leaning, even with Mayfield, to taking the Broncos. I'm definitely taking the Broncos now. Now, if you decide to come back, I'm switching, baby.
He's still taking the Broncos.
No, well, that you're right. It might make me take him even more.
He'll still take the Broncos.
What is the biggest issue? If it's not Case Keenum getting the start for Baker Mayfield, you're without your top 2 running backs, could be without your top 2 wide receivers once again as well, and the offensive line banged up.
To me, it's all the tempo that they can set on offense. When they can't hammer away at the football in the rushing attack, play that physical brand of football, because their offensive line is their best group on their team. But if it's banged up, they can't play the style they want to. They don't have the 2 backs in the backfield in Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, guys who are great getting yards after contact. It completely changes the dynamic of this offense. So you almost have to reinvent it in a short week against a really good defense in the Denver Broncos.
But I'd almost feel like you'd be better off having the 2 tackles and Johnson play running back than not having the 2 tackles and have Hunt play running back. Wouldn't you agree? I mean,
Yeah,
they're good tackles. I mean, Conklin's a really good tackle.
That's what I'm saying. Their offensive line is the key to this entire
Absolutely.
offense.
So without those 2 tackles, they have major
I'm
problems.
telling you right now, keep an eye on Demetric Felton.
I love him. He was one of my favorite players.
This player, he will have an impact on this game.
Catching the ball.
Catching the football, and getting to the outside, making guys best. He's that type of player.
And Keenum does have that gunslinger mentality. It's just a matter of if they can get it going in the run game.
Led the Vikings to the NFC Championship game back in 2017.
In case it matters, over. 42.5. Little concerned with the Browns scoring points here.
I think
know.
I'm leaning the other way.
I know. I have a sense this may hit the over.
Just give me your picks before the week starts, and I'll go the other way.
Pete, gonna fade Brady the rest of the way.
Peacocking around here. You're not Ryan Wilson. You're still trailing Ryan Wilson by a lot.
I'm catching him.
Yeah, I bet, but you're still behind.
Hey, look, you could be worse. You could be Will Brinson on his podcast. He went 0-6. His best bets.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the Sunday games. Get that Browns helmet out of there. You can use everybody the rest of the way.
Yeah.
Washington,
We'll bring everyone out. He hasn't filed his papers yet, so he might come back for every team.
Washington could use you. Washington's at Green Bay. Packers have won 5 straight since that opening week loss.
Yeah, look, the Packers are the top of the NFC North. No one's going to pick against them otherwise. Aaron Rodgers, this does feel like it's his last season in Green Bay. I think he's trying to make a statement, but they're into a flow right now on offense. There's no doubt about it. I don't really see any way in which the Washington football team is going to be able to be really competitive in this one. We've talked about it all year long. Their defense hasn't been what we hoped it was going to be. Offensively, they struggle to be able to consistently put up production, put up points. It's a bad spot to be in right now, and I just think this is an easy cover here. Even though it's a 9.5, that's a big number. We saw a bunch of blowouts last week in the NFL.
You think Aaron Rodgers screaming, yelling at the fans in Chicago was just a hint that he won't be back to go back there next year?
I don't think that was a hint because he'll be back there just with another team.
But he might not. If he goes to another team, he might not play there for a long time.
But he'll remind them when he comes back.
I mean, I thought it was like, the kid that finally stood up to, and they're not his bully, but the tough guy in the neighborhood, and then he moved the next day. You know how that works out, and he runs. But I still think they're going to work it out, Brady. I'm in the minority on that one. I think cooler heads will prevail. He'll work it out, and he'll.
What happens to Jordan Love?
Well, he sits. You sit. What?
I mean, you don't renegotiate the contract to void off years to then put yourself in a position to be able to leave.
Well,
that doesn't make any sense.
He doesn't have to leave after this year.
He doesn't. But I'm saying, why do you go through that exercise in the first place then?
To appease him, to get him back this year, and then you make him happy, and then you.
Why would you just give him the contract that he wants then to keep him for the long term?
They could have given him the contract.
They didn't.
But he didn't take it. They were going to give him a good contract.
They went the exact opposite route. They took off years on his contract.
I think he's going to end up coming back.
You guys disagree on that, but you agree on everything else for this game.
Yeah,
a lot of lock unity here.
Yeah,
a lot
of
lock
unity. I like when we're in lock unity usually, but I do this one. I just Washington's defense has been awful. The coverage on the back end has been terrible. Of all the units in the NFL, the Washington defense is the biggest disappointment of all of them. Rodgers will get things cranked up, throwing the ball down the field. He hasn't done that much this year with the deep balls. I think he does that.
They get banged up offensive line. I think when they get Bakhtiari back, they get a little healthier. They'll have
opportunities. But I'm with you. Washington in the over.
Okay. Washington, by the way, last in the NFL in points per game. They've given up 30-plus in 4 straight games. Hey, look what's next.
What is it?
It's Pete Prisco spinning top of the week.
Early in the show.
Yeah, because we're going to talk Panthers and Giants coming up.
He's so excited.
He does.
He could not contain himself.
It's like a game show host.
We're going with the Carolina Panthers here, and again, Pete can't just single one person out. You're going with a Panther trio.
Well, if you stink, you're going to go. I mean, they all stunk, so I had to put them in there. The right side of the line played okay. The left side of the line was terrible. And if you look at it, Matt Paradis, the center, was bad. We'll take a peek at him right here. I mean, this is just simple, bad football. Then they went for the left guard. He got replaced. He came in there. That was Jordan who went in there. He was awful in a lot of ways. Gets beat right at the point of attack. You can see that. It's meeting at the quarterback. And then Cam Irvin, we know Cam Irvin's not a very good left tackle. He did some decent stuff early in the game, but as the game wore on, he got victimized by that spin move at one
look
point.
At the hesitation, though.
Yeah, I mean, he got him a couple times in that game. And remember, Griffin put Penei Sewell as the spinning top
did.
last week. So 2 weeks
How
in a
about
row,
that?
he contributed, and the Vikings handled them up front. The left side of that line and the center in pass protection is a major problem for Sam Darnold.
Yeah, and it's almost flashbacks to what he had with the New York Jets at times. Which
And
is
he hasn't
unfortunate.
played very well.
He hasn't, and that's where you start to see those stats. You see the numbers come down. That's been a big talking point, but no one's looking at the offensive line play, which has regressed as the season's gone on. And by the way, that's like one of the new twists or moves you're seeing from a lot of defensive ends now. Once they beat a guy back inside with the spin move inside, it's then that little hesitation like they're going to, and they run right back around the top edge.
The counterclockwise swirl, I think they call that one.
Oh, is that what they call it?
Yeah, Panthers and
you
Giants
play-by-play guys
coming
love
up
that,
this
huh?
week. Panthers, obviously, we just talked about. They've lost 3 straight after that 3-0 start. Daniel Jones coming off a career-worst 4-turnover game his last time out.
Yeah, maybe he shouldn't have been out there in the first place, considering he might have still been concussed. I mean, bottom line is that I don't know why so many players are coming back, and we talked about this last week during the games.
Yeah.
Players are coming back faster than I can recall from concussions, and I'm not necessarily blaming the performance solely on that, but maybe he needed a week off. It sure looked like it by the way he played. All that being said, in this matchup, neither of these two teams are playing well right now. I think you could say Carolina's put better tape out there early in the season, but they're in a bad spot. And if you're going to give me 3 points between two teams, and the Giants obviously playing at home, I'll gladly take it. I don't feel good about it. I think the play in this game is the under, because I don't know how much either of these two teams are going to score, even as bad as the Giants' defense has been.
We're back to the old days. Here's your smelling salt back in. You're good from your concussion. I mean, basically.
That was back in your day, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he was
There wasn't
knocked
even
out.
smelling salts.
He was
went back
knocked
in.
out standing up after the Dallas Cowboys game, and he's in the next week.
That's my problem all these years. I had too many concussions and just didn't know it. No, I like the Giants too. I mean, these two teams, they're even. You're going to give me points at home, I'll take them. I know the Giants are banged up. No Barkley. The wide receiver position is a mess. No Tony probably this week. So it's a bad situation, but I think you're correct. I think Jones was really limited last week by the concussion situation. He probably shouldn't have played. He'll play better. I'm not a believer in Sam Darnold. I think all that talk early in the season, look what Adam Gase did to him. Look what Adam Gase did to him. No, he's just not that good, and it's showing up.
I don't know that it's that. I also think he just needs more help out around him, right? He's not, obviously he's not Tom Brady. He's not Aaron Rodgers. He's not all these other quarterbacks that can help raise the level of everyone else they're playing with. He's a guy that needs more help. And I think when he doesn't get that help, he presses too much.
That's the guy.
He makes poor decisions, and he throws the football into coverage at times.
By
By the way, you saw that in college. Like, remember his first year starting versus second year? What was the biggest difference? He didn't have as good of protection. He was running for his life versus Ohio State, played poorly. That's a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL unless you've got some innate ability to overcome that. He doesn't have that.
No, he doesn't. He needs people around him, and he doesn't have great things, particularly the offensive line around him.
You agree against the spread on the 3 teams so far in the 3 games. You like the Giants, and we'll pop this up for you in a second. Like the Giants, like the Packers, and like the Broncos. You guys are on the wrong side, on different sides, I guess I should say. One of you will be on the wrong side of this next game. Falcons at the Dolphins, and the Dolphins are a mess. They've lost 5 in a row. Matt Ryan's starting to play better for Atlanta.
Yeah, he's starting to play better. But look, the Dolphins playing home, I think they get a little bit of an edge there. I like what Tua did. I know it was in London. It was in a losing effort still, but I think he gave that offense a bit of a lift. I think that's out there for him. At some point, Brian Flores is going to have to realize he can't keep playing man coverage, especially if your best 2 cornerbacks aren't even playing in the game. So I think they'll start to make some adjustments. I think they'll be able to win this one. Look, the Falcons are favorites. You're talking about in the NFL a home dog. I'll gladly take the 2.5 points of the Dolphins in this game.
You can have them. I'm not taking that. I'm taking Matt Ryan. Start of the week, by the way.
You were Jamie Eisenberg.
Jamie.
He's boomed 3 in a row, hasn't he?
Darrell Williams didn't do great last week.
No, he boomed them, though.
Did he?
He counted that.
It's 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, he counted it. I think Matt Ryan's going to have a big day. You're right about the Dolphins. Why do you play so much man coverage? The game plan was terrible last week. I also thought managing the game was bad.
Yeah,
Why didn't he go
especially down
for
the stretch.
Yeah, he went for it on 4th and 1, gave him the field goal. He didn't go for it on 4th and 2. Just a lot of bad situational football for him. I said the Washington football team's defense is biggest disappointment in terms of unit. The Dolphins are the biggest disappointment in terms of being a team. I thought they'd be competitive. They won 10 games last year. They're not. They're going to get handled in this game. Brian Flores is in trouble.
They're going to get handled? I mean, you talk about the Falcons. What has the Falcons defense done this year?
It was better last time.
I mean, I'll say this much. I feel better about the over than I do anything else in this game because I do think Matt Ryan will have it, especially if the Dolphins don't adjust their defense to their personnel. But I think both teams will score. It'll be close. I don't think either of these two teams are very good.
Waddle down the field. Get him down the field.
Stop throwing the short.
Yeah, get him down the field. He's got speed. They don't.
Dolphins 1-5, worst start since 2006. Nick Saban, the head coach there in Miami.
If only he had signed Drew Brees.
Yeah, back in the day.
Talk to Danny Cannell about that.
A lot of agreement here on those first 3 games in lock unity on that Washington-Green Bay game. They like Green Bay -9.5 and the over 49. Also agree on the Giants +3 against the Panthers. And at the top there, the Denver Broncos on Thursday night football against the banged-up Browns. When we come back, we'll hit some of our CBS games on Sunday early afternoon. We've got a couple of good ones, including one for first place in the AFC North. HQ presented by Caesars Sportsbook, giving us the lines for our games this week, Week 7. And these are the early games on CBS. A couple of interesting ones. Bengals 4-2 at the Ravens 5-1. Bengals win that. Be tied for first in the division. Chiefs at the Titans. Chiefs starting to feel a little bit better about the defense after beating Washington. Titans coming off that great win against the Bills. All right, Brady Quinn, Pete Prisco here to pick them. Let's start with the Bengals and the Ravens. One of the big games this week, Baltimore given 6 at home.
Yeah, who would have thought at the beginning of the season that the Bengals would be at this point, second place in the AFC North, leading both Pittsburgh and Cleveland. But this is essentially for first place in the division, even though it's early. You got to feel good about where I think the defense has come around for Cincinnati. That was always my biggest concern. You know, Joe Burrow's a good player. We knew he was, especially with the talent he has out around him, we knew he'd be able to put up some points if he could just protect him and keep him upright. To me, it was always about their defense. But I think they've showcased the ability to get after opposing quarterbacks. The challenge in this one for me, Pete, is the fact that this is a different type of quarterback. It's not so much about how you can get after him. It's whether or not you can stop the rushing attack. I think Cincinnati's going to struggle to do that. I do think this can be a shootout, a high-scoring game. But I'm thinking it's going to be more the side of Baltimore, understand the importance of this divisional matchup and the inability for the Cincinnati Bengals to stop the run. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, all these guys, they're going to get theirs. But I think at the end of the day, Lamar Jackson and the Ravens are going to win. I'm going to lay the 6 points. I don't feel great about it. My favorite bet here is the over in this game.
See, I love the over, too. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, so I will go with you on that one. But I think the Bengals are going to come to play. I really do. You mentioned that defense. I mean, Logan Wilson's been phenomenal. I loved him coming out. He's one of my favorite guys in the draft. He's been better than I thought he would be. Hubbard, Hendrickson, get after the quarterback. DJ Reader's playing really well on the inside. I like the makeup of their team, so I'm going to take the Bengals because, you know, 1-10 doesn't look so far off these days, does it, fellas? All the mocking you guys gave
Well, first
me.
off, it's less than 10.
It was
that was
one,
2 years ago.
It's 1-9 now.
Well, you said 2. I mean, Chris is
I
here
said
4.
1.
We've all heard.
We
Pete
get the
Prisco
tape.
said Joe Burrow will win multiple Super
Super
Bowl titles in the next 10 years.
It was
He
one.
said that
2
a year
years ago.
I said it the night of the draft. I said it.
So we're into year 2. After this year, you'd have 8 years left.
Right,
That's
he's going to win
simple
one.
math.
He's going to win
Said
one.
multiple.
I said 1, but he's going to win one.
Said multiple.
Would you agree that you have a legitimate chance to win one?
I think he's good enough to win one. I don't know if it will happen in Cincinnati. I'll put it that way.
If they win this week, you're going to start to think it, though, aren't you?
No, I won't think it at all.
I think they hang around in the game. I'll take the Bengals.
I mean, I don't care if it's Andy Dalton or if it's Joe Burrow. They got to win a playoff game first.
I take the Bengals plus the points. I think they keep it close. You know, the Ravens put a lot into that Chargers game.
They did.
Oh,
They
you're
put
big-
a
you're
lot
big
into that game.
Hey, that theory's been right.
Hey, but what is this week for the Cincinnati Bengals? Where were they at last week?
Played the Lions.
Where was that game?
Back-to-back road games.
Oh, no. You know what that means.
What?
Oh, kiss of death, right?
No,
I mean, that's in your book. That's your playbook.
Usually I don't like that, but I'm taking 6.5
Oh,
here.
wow, okay. So I guess that only works sometimes. Is that what you're
Well,
saying?
I don't go against it all
Hey,
the time.
quarterback scale?
Oh, come on. Lamar's better than him right now.
Okay.
Just checking.
All right.
Just checking. We'll check back.
back
We
in
have, to
5
check,
years.
we have to check in on the Pete Prisco playbook.
Check back in 5
Those
years.
are two of the,
Check
two
back
of the
in,
chapters.
check back in 5 years.
Are we going to be working together then? Are we going to be working together at that point?
Hopefully I'm still alive by then.
All right, let's move on to another
All
game on
legitimate
CBS,
questions.
1 o'clock Eastern Time. Highest total of the week in the Chiefs-Titans game at 56.5. Chiefs favored by 5.5 in this game.
Yeah, I think they win this game. I need to see someone stop Derrick Henry. I mean, at some point, someone's got to stop them, and no one's been able to yet. And I look at the Chiefs' defense and kind of compare it to the Bills. The Bills are a better defense. They couldn't stop them. So I'm willing to sit here and say, yeah, I'm going to take the 5.5 points. I'm on the side of the Tennessee Titans, who are playing at home. Their defense has shown the ability to get after. Harold Landry's having a good year, even though their secondary is spotty at times. I think at the end of the day, if you can't stop Derrick Henry, it's going to be a long day for you. So I'll take that 5.5 points. Hey, maybe the Chiefs win by a field goal within that number, but I'll take the 5.5 for the home underdog. And I also, by the way, love the over in this one.
I love the over as well. That's one of my favorite picks this week is the over in this game. They will not stop the Chiefs. And remember, this is a team that can run the football. We get it, and the Chiefs have had problems with the run. But remember in the playoffs that one year they went out there and they ran the ball, they jumped on them real early, and then they couldn't stop the Chiefs. I think it's going to be that kind of game. I don't think with the secondary makeup the way it is right now that they're going to be able to stop Patrick Mahomes in his passing game.
It helps that game was in Kansas City, too.
Yeah, I think this past week was the wake-up call for the Chiefs. They were much better on defense, and they're not good on defense, but they were much better. And granted, it's against Washington. They're not a good offensive team. They're a great offensive team. They were much better at steps in the right direction. I think the Chiefs get that offense cranked up. I love the Chiefs here, minus the 5.5.
I mean, their offense, it's not that they haven't been cranked up. They just have been turning the football over too much. That's been more of their issue.
Well, they also, against Buffalo, they wouldn't run the ball or check it down.
Right, which teams are making them do. And maybe, look, the Tennessee Titans did that. Like, the Tennessee Titans can take their game plan versus the Bills and just say and roll it out this week and go, hey, here we go. Same game plan. We're going to play soft. We're going to force Patrick Mahomes to have to dump the ball down or scramble up, use his legs. We'll rally up tackle. Don't get beat deep. Don't get any bad penalties. And maybe he'll throw us a turnover or two. And we've seen that a little bit this year.
Yeah, we have.
So you literally, if you're the Tennessee Titans and Mike Vrabel, can take that game plan and just directly apply it to this matchup too.
So you think Derrick Henry's going to go 3 touchdowns and $150?
I mean, again, I'm not betting against them because I tried to with the Bills. I keep buying into Pete Prisco's Buffalo Bills, and then they disappointed me at the end of the game. And Ryan Tannehill stepped up in clutch moments. No one's been more clutch than this team in the fourth quarter than the Tennessee Titans the last year and a half, the last 2 years. I mean, they've been clutch.
They're not going to be clutch in this one because it's going to be tough.
Again, I'm not saying that the Chiefs aren't going to win. I'm just saying I don't think they're going to blow it out.
I'll take this. I'll lay
Henry on pace to break Dickerson's single-season record. 17th game. Is there an asterisk there if he does it?
Once if he does it in 16 games, I think you know that answer.
Well, what about like guys who did it in 14 games? I mean, like the Juice.
You've been around so long that you've seen
OJ.
it happen.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so no asterisk, I guess. He is on pace to break
He
Dickerson.
didn't want you to bring that up.
2,105.
He's on a Ring of Honor somewhere, isn't he?
Yeah, Buffalo, I think.
What? I wasn't even listening to what you were saying. Let's move on to the Jets and the Patriots. New England, God, this is amazing. 5 of their first 7 games are at home. This is their 7th game. This is their 5th home game. They haven't won a home game yet.
It's shocking. And I'll pose this question to Pete because it was something I was kind of thinking about. At what point do Patriot fans start to get frustrated with Bill Belichick? I mean, has he earned so much equity where like that day's just never going to come? Or are they more understanding this year because a rookie quarterback, all these new pieces, and maybe next year if they struggle like this? I mean, and by the way, I think they win this game. I think they'll dominate this game. I feel comfortable laying the 7 points. But the real question is, this season, the way it's going, I don't know that they're going to have a winning record. They could have another losing record. Patriots fans aren't accustomed to that.
I think the rookie quarterback gives him an out a little bit. And again, he's not a kid that really drives the ball down the field yet, and that's a problem.
Is that on Bill and Josh, though, or is that on him? Because he can. You go back and watch his college tape. He'll drive the football down the field.
Yeah, or they don't have any weapons outside that he can drive the ball
That might be
down
more
the
of the
field.
issue.
So, I mean, you signed Jonnu Smith. He doesn't catch any passes. And
Nelson Aguilar.
and Jonnu Smith Belichick's getting angry about questions about why he isn't catching passes now. There's a little frustration there, and rightfully so. They played good football last week, although they really, when you looked at the numbers, they got pushed around. And great. I mean, that's the worst Bill Belichick defense ever against the team. I mean, he gave up 570 yards of offense. So the Jets are bad. Zach Wilson, I hope the bye was good to him because he was awful before the bye. He needs to start playing better football. It won't be here. Belichick against a rookie quarterback, he will dominate him, and I think they cover this number easily.
Divisional game, I always get worried about, a 7-point or more spread. Like I said, I'm going to lay the 7 points here because of Belichick's history and the record and all that, and I think they're a better team right now. The under, though, is the play I really like with the way both these two offenses have played.
Brady's got headlines here. Patriots fire Belichick? Is that what
I didn't say that. I did not say that once. I asked you. You've been around the game.
I don't think. I think next year.
Okay, because you've seen Bill Belichick for a long time, and so I think you would know better than most.
Yeah, I think next year, Brady. I think
patience.
Next year, he could be on the hot seat if
No,
they
he's
don't
not
turn
going to
it
be in the
around.
hot seat.
What are you
He's talking
saying?
about what he's talking about.
If the media, the fans
Fans
get
that start turning
frustrated with where this team is at.
Yeah, next
Because
year.
last year 7-9, this year it looks like they're headed to a losing record, right? We don't have any more 8
Well,
days
last year he had all the opt-outs.
I know. I'm just saying. 2 years in a row, you start to notice a pattern.
Next year, if he does it. And I think he's smart enough to realize if it's not getting fixed, I'm getting out of there.
Last time the Jets won at Foxborough was the 2010 playoffs when they went in there and stunned up with Mark Sanchez.
Oh, Mark Sanchez.
Rex
That's
Ryan.
right. Dirty.
Yeah.
That's my guy.
All right, recapping these early CBS games on Sunday. Where do we have agreement here? On the Patriots. And on the over in those first 2 games, like the over 47, Bengals-Ravens, the over 56.5, which is the highest over-under of the weekend, and then Patriots minus
He likes
7.
the under.
Yeah.
He likes the under the Jets Patriots. He won't admit it, though.
No, I didn't pick it, but I would
Yeah, I
probably-
noticed you're starting to pick more totals.
No, just a couple that I like, and you know what? That's a bad thing, because when I pick out my best bets on Brinson's podcast, those over-unders usually
What was Brinson's record on the pod this week?
0-6.
Can you say that one more time?
0-6.
Oh, okay. Oh, boy.
Hey, we weren't much better, me and RJ.
All right, up next, Tom Brady taking on the Bears, a team that beat them last year, and Bears have the most sacks in the NFL this season. Can they get to Tommy? Caesar Sportsbook giving us our betting lines for this week in the NFL. Look at these late afternoon games.
Good God. Those are some big spreads.
Jeez. I mean, there are many, many weeks where we don't have a single double-digit spread. And in 4 games in the afternoon slate, we have 3 of them at 12.5 or higher, the highest being the Cardinals, 18.5-point favorites against the Texans. We're going to start with the Bears and the Bucs. It's a CBS game, 4:25 Eastern Time. Chris Hassel, Brady Quinn, Pete Prisco. I do think the Bucs are going to win this game easily. I was surprised the line was this high.
I was too, and that's the reason why I sent him my notes to Jack and I put 12 and I said I'm going to take the 12.5 points. Jack, I need to switch that. I need to change that because I'm going to go with the Bucs. I was reminded of a couple things when I was driving in today.
Yeah.
There's a few guarantees in life, right? Death, taxes, and then don't bet against Tom Brady. So I was reminded by that on my way in. It looks like a big spread, but I'll remind everyone, 8 of the 14 games last week all were double-digit victories. So we're starting to see that point in time in the scheduling where you get some of the best versus some of the worst. This is a scenario of that here. Justin Fields has really struggled to complete the football, throw the football effectively. Even as bad as the secondary coverage has been, the pass defense have been for the Bucs, I don't think he's going to have a heyday here. I think the Bucs will be able to find ways to find production against this Bears defense, which has probably been better than what we realized. So I'm going to go here with the Bucs. I'm going to lay the 12.5 points. I don't feel great about that. I do feel better about the over here because I think the Bucs are going to put up a good number. I think the Bears might score a little bit in this one.
Didn't you give me grief? Was it 2 weeks ago when I changed the pick on here?
Yeah, but I changed it before that.
Yeah.
This is the second time I've done this year.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. You gave me grief about it, and here you are changing your pick in midstream.
Your thing was it was put there on the notes, and then you tried to act like it should have.
I knew what I had in my picks.
I know what I had. I just owned up to it.
Okay, all right.
What do you have, Pete?
Buccaneers.
Yeah.
Definitely have the Bucs. I'm not taking Justin Fields on in this situation. But remember, it was against the Bears last year.
Right.
And he was awful. And there were
Being Tom Brady.
And there were actually people who started to question him. That was the game when they said, "Oh my gosh, can he actually take this team to the playoffs in the Super Bowl?" There was a lot of questions about it.
Pete, over under times Tom Brady forgets which down it is. I'm setting it at a half. Does it happen in this game?
No, it does not.
It's in Tampa. Could be hot.
No,
seasonally
it does
warm.
not.
Okay.
It does not. I think the Chicago defense will be, they're good, but they're going to be overmatched against, that offense is explosive and dynamic and going to be overmatched.
All right, both on the Bucs, minus 12.5 in that one, 4:25 on CBS. If you don't get that one, you're going to get the other game. Cardinals probably going to get to 7-0 here. This is the largest spread of the week, one of the largest spreads of the season. Cardinals giving 18.5 to the Texans.
Yeah, there's no reason that I should not take the Cardinals in this case because of how they looked and how bad the Texans have looked, but that spread's just too big. I'm sorry, it's the NFL. The margins between teams aren't that different. I hesitated with this most recent pick. So in this case, I don't think the Texans get absolutely blown out the way this spread looks like. So I'm going to take the 18.5 points here. Don't feel great about it. I do think they're going to hit the over because I think the Cardinals are going to put up a bunch of points. I also think the Texans may have, and may end up hitting that over number by covering in backdoor, third quarter, fourth quarter of this game.
I'm going to take the Cardinals. Look, as much as I wanted to take the 18.5 points because it's a
Davis
boatload.
Mills.
And you know what? He's
Your
done
guy.
some good things.
Pete Prisco's guy.
And there's always the chance that the Cardinals might have been, coming off the win last week at Cleveland, could be caught.
Was that their Super Bowl?
No, that wasn't. That was a couple.
Look at the numbers there on the road this season for Mills.
Well, one was at.
Game.
Remember, the first one was at Buffalo in his first start.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and then it was at Indy.
It wasn't terrible at Indy.
I'm just saying, look at the score.
Yeah.
Lost
the
by
score is
28.
bad. Yeah, the score is bad. But I'm with Brady. I think he'll play okay. I just think the Cardinals won't be stopped in this game. I think they're going to put up a big number. You're right on the over.
That's why I like the over.
Yeah, I think the Cardinals minus. I hate laying this many points in the NFL.
You can't feel good about it.
No,
That's the
you
thing is, I wouldn't feel good either way. The over's the play. I'll take the 18.5 because I'm curious to see if the Arizona Cardinals can do it.
I'll lay it though.
Cardinals remind me of some teams in college football right now, like in Oklahoma State, that they're sitting there, they're undefeated. They've got a better record than some of the other teams, yet I feel like nobody's saying that they're the best team in the NFL.
Last week was a statement game for me.
I agree.
To go
but
on
even
the road,
with all those injuries, though, it's still a statement game.
Yeah, because
they had
those injuries happened during the game.
And they also had their share of stuff with
Sure.
Cliff
And mind you, that game wasn't even close at halftime.
No.
It was only close because of the Hail Mary.
Right.
So for that reason, I think that was kind of a statement game. Like the Cardinals are here.
I agree.
They're a playoff team.
But are you going to
say
say that they're the best team in the league?
Right now they are. The biggest question, and we say this every week, and I'll say this until we get to the second half of the season, it's can they continue? Can they hang on this, at this trajectory? Because it's hard in the NFL. Teams adjust, injuries happen, all those things. The Cardinals last year got off to a good start, and then they kind of hit a wall there in the second half of the season. That's all this is about at this point.
It was a statement game last week because I really thought that would be the end of their undefeated season. I thought the Browns would handle them, run the ball.
Now Kingsbury's,
no Kingsbury, Hudson wasn't there. I mean, a lot of situations. I think this is a legitimate team. They showed it last week. Yeah. They'll blow them out.
Number one in your power ranking?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. We don't see this one. This is what I mean. They're not even on the first screen here for the odds to win the Super Bowl. They're in the next page behind all these teams.
Even though they went on the road,
put some money on them.
They went on the road and beat the hell out of the Rams.
Yeah, put some money on them.
But then again, the Rams were coming down after beating Tampa Bay.
That's right. Yeah, Pete's Super Bowl hangover.
Speaking of the Rams, who right now have the second best odds to win it all in the NFC behind the world champion Bucs, they're getting a big number as well, or giving a big number, I guess I should say. 15 points to the Lions. Brady, you said a couple weeks ago you'd never take the Lions again. You took them last week. They burned you. Are you going to go back to the well
what?
again?
All right, he's right. You know what, Jack? Switch it again. Switch it again. I'll lay the 15 points. He reminded me of this. And then last week I tried taking him. I got disappointed again. I'm not riding this roller coaster anymore, all right? I'm tired of it, Pete. I keep trying to put my faith, my hope in the Detroit Lions. They let me down every time. The Rams are by far and away a better team, a better defense, better offense. I think Stafford's going to come back in there, have something to prove. The secondary's not going to be able to touch any of those wide receivers. It's mismatches everywhere. The Rams are going to put up a big number, all right? I'm laying the 15 points. I was thinking about going the opposite of that, but forget it. I'm done with the Detroit Lions after last week.
I'm glad you're on the other side because I have the Lions this week. I think
ride that roller coaster,
Dan
Pete.
Campbell kind of calling out Jared Goff is a good thing. Jared Goff is playing his former team. He's not happy about it. You keep talking about Stafford playing his former team. I know they're limited in terms of what they can do, but other than last week, they've been in games, and they've been a good, feisty team in the fourth quarter. I mean, they have.
You sound like me last week. That's what you sound like.
I just think they're going to
You're trying to convince yourself because it's a big number. Be honest.
Backdoor. The backdoor cover is coming.
And I can see that's a big number.
I'm taking the Lions plus the 15.
I think Matt Stafford's going to play deep in the fourth quarter and put up points.
The 3.5-point difference between 15 and 18.5, you're willing to take it.
No, this is personal, all right? This is about the Lions.
Okay.
They have wronged me every single time. We need to do some accounting on this.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure every single time I pick them, they've disappointed.
I'm taking the Lions.
Lions haven't scored a first-half touchdown in any of their last 4 games.
I'm taking them. 15 points. I'll take it.
All right. Pete's got the Lions plus 15 points. Brady, another flip-flop, going with it's never too late. It's never too late to change.
We're here now.
We'll send it in after the
Till
fact.
kickoff. He likes the Rams minus 15. All right. This is the closest spread by far. Might be the best game of this late slate, 4 o'clock Eastern time. Eagles at the Raiders. And boy, Vegas surprised a lot of people last week.
Big time. I mean, with everything they had going on off the field, you don't know where the headspace is of that locker room. We saw a really poor performance versus the Bears. I was shocked by how well Derek Carr and the rest of the Raiders played on the road versus a Broncos team that's a good defense. And then they made them look average. They beat them up on both sides of the football, too. They dominated the line of scrimmage. I'm betting that that's going to be the same team that we see in this matchup. Now back at home, given 3 points, which isn't too big in this, in my mind. And I think when you look at the Eagles' offense, they've started to tail off a little bit. And I do think Gus Bradley's got this defense playing better for the Raiders. So I'll lay the 3 points. I think the under is another good play in this one. I don't know how much the Eagles are going to score. And I think the Eagles' defense will be challenging for the Raiders after a big win last week. But that's my play on this one.
John who? They didn't care. Goodbye. See ya. Out the door he goes. They start playing better. So I think the Raiders are playing well, but I think the Eagles are going to go in there and find a way to win, not win the game, but cover this number. I think they're going to hang around. I really do. The Eagles didn't play well last week offensively, and they have to run the ball more. Did you hear the Eagle fans when he handed the ball off to Miles Sanders? They cheered. I mean, run the ball a little bit. It's terrible what they do in terms of running the football. I think the Raiders, again, put a lot into the division game last week against the Broncos. They were psyched up with no
extra
John
rest
around.
The Eagles,
and I think, yeah, right, correct. And so I'm going to take the Eagles plus the points in this one. And I would probably, I'm not going to put it down, but I would probably lean the over. I think it's going to be a lot of points in this.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, look at that. Since 2000, second fewest rush attempts by running backs through the first 6 games. It was those 14 Jaguars with fewer. All right, recapping the picks on the late games from Pete and Brady, and there is agreement on the Bucs, minus 12.5.
It's separate. 4 o'clock is going to be separation time.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. And
Brady,
we'll see how you feel after the Detroit Lions play the Rams.
Probably won't like it very much.
Brady was going to take the Lions plus 15, but
Flip-flop.
then he remembered
I got to start flip-flopping. You're ahead by what, 6 now?
at least.
Not more than that either.
Yeah. See? Well,
I can't even
Coming
see,
off a good
I
one.
can't even see you down there in the hole.
hey, welcome to my vantage point.
All right, coming up, we got the prime time games. Carson Wentz playing well for the Indianapolis Colts, trying to keep them moving in the right direction against the 49ers Sunday Night Football. 49ers have lost 3 straight. This hour of HQ presented by Caesars Sportsbook, giving us our betting lines. We've got 2 games to pick, primetime Sunday and Monday. A little bit underwhelming, but some teams just fighting right now, like the Colts and 49ers, both under 500. The Saints have been really inconsistent. The Seahawks, man, they're not going to have Russell Wilson for at least another couple games at least. Got Brady Quinn and Pete Prisco here to pick them, starting with the Sunday Nighter. Colts at 49ers. Carson Wentz playing well. Jimmy Garoppolo back.
Yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo back. Maybe there's some rust there. That's kind of what I'm banking on. Defense has improved for the Colts. Carson Wentz has improved the last few games. They're starting to kind of find their rhythm offensively. So I like the Colts in this one. I mean, I kind of hate the hook here, too. I think if this number was a little bit lower, maybe I'd be on the side of the 49ers. But I'll go ahead and take the 3.5 points. I think this is going to be a little more high-scoring game, too. So I'd like the over as a play here. But I'll take the 3.5 points. And Carson Wentz, who's kind of started to find his mojo, if you will, Pete.
Yeah, but Paris Campbell now is hurt, done, out.
See that big of a difference maker in the first
No,
place?
but he had a big play last week down the field. He can open up the field a little bit.
Sure.
And now T.Y. Hilton's questionable. We'll see if he goes. If he doesn't go, they're slow. I like the 49ers in this one. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to come back and play very well in this game. And the Colts have the worst passer rating against in the league. And I think even Jimmy Garoppolo will be able to carve them up. So I'll take the 49ers.
49ers, I believe, were co-favorites in the division with the Rams to start the season. Got off to a good start, won their first 2 games. Then Jimmy G gets hurt. Now that he's back, are they still a contender in your mind?
Not so much. I mean, I think when you look at the head start that the Arizona Cardinals have gotten, the way the Rams have played as well, I mean, those are clearly the 2 favorites in my mind. Seattle's obviously at the bottom with Wilson out and their defensive issues. Maybe 3rd place, but I think they're going to have a hard time climbing back to even be a playoff team at this point.
Again, the injuries have really hit them. I mean, Kittle's not there, and then they had the running back injuries and the corners. I mean, it's a bad situation. I would say that they can get back in, but certainly that's what makes this one so much.
Get back into the playoffs?
They can get back into the hunt. They got the Rams twice. They got the Cardinals once more.
Which might not be a good thing if you got to play the Rams.
Well, I mean, if you get back to where you're supposed to be.
It's the only way they can get back, having to play the rest of their division the rest of the way.
Okay, that's the Sunday Nighter. Let's move on to the Monday night game, and it's the Saints, Jameis Winston and company, looking to get that downfield passing attack going against a bad defense, Seattle, and Geno Smith, who, look, it really wasn't his fault they lost the game. He played pretty well.
No, he played pretty well. I think it's a different challenge, though, now, too, right? I mean, he's back in the starting role. There's going to be more tape on him. There's going to be more things that Dennis Allen wants to do with that Saints defense. And on the flip side, you mentioned it, Chris. I mean, this Seahawks defense has been awful. I assume Darrell Taylor is going to be out, given the injury he suffered last week. So at this point, you'd think that there's going to be some big play opportunities too, lack of a pass rush from Seattle. This sets up for me where you've got another road team, and I believe road favorites won 6 of 7 games last week, the Bills being the only exception there. So I think you're going to see the Saints here cover the 5-point spread. But I think it's going to be a little more low-risk scoring game. Always tough place to play, playing out there in Seattle.
And the Saints are getting guys back. You know, early in the season, they were just decimated by injuries. Traquan Smith might be back in the lineup. I think that helps open up the passing game. I think this is a Jameis Winston game. That secondary is so bad in Seattle. I think the pass rush, you mentioned Taylor might not be there. They have problems rushing the passer. This is an opportunity for Jameis Winston to go in there and throw it around and put up big numbers. I'm with you. I think the Saints handle them easily in this game. Geno Smith was okay. It was more like he was managing the game. He wasn't really trying to lose the game. And to keep up with the Saints, I think in this game he's going to have to be better. I don't think he will be. I'll take the Saints minus the point.
Unfortunately, the way their defense is playing now, I mean, this isn't the 2013, 2014 version of the Seattle Seahawks defense. You could just manage a game then and win a lot of football
Correct,
games.
which is what Russell Wilson did back then.
Well, that's not this defense.
No.
And that's, I think, the challenge for any quarterback that's playing behind center for them right now.
You know what the highlight of the night will be? When Russell Wilson goes out before the game and gets in his own huddle.
That was
What the hell was that?
That was like Pete, you as a kid at the basketball hoop. For 3, boo!
I mean, what was you found no that wasn't weird, except mine was.
It was definitely weird.
The only thing that was weird about it is that he decided to do it when there's cameras around.
Because
he could have easily done it earlier in the day when the cameras weren't set up.
The huddle is weird.
Well, he was just practicing calling.
Come on, Brady.
The only thing that was missing
walking
was,
through something like that or running through something like that.
No, I don't-
It's not weird.
running
Him
through the
calling
dr-
the play in the huddle and doing it's not
Running
weird.
through the drills is fine, but acting like you're in a huddle.
what
is
if he
ridiculous.
would have?
I don't care about that. It was the fact that he had to do it.
Dive for the
cameras.
pylon. You know, what if he would have done that?
But his
That's
hand,
the
like he
only thing
always does
missing.
when
Yeah.
he sticks the ball.
No,
out.
I had that injury, right? And granted, I had 2 pins put in. When you have it in a cast like that, they tell you, he's out there flicking his wrist around. You're not healing if you're not resting it and keeping your hands static. So that's the only thing I was thinking while he's doing it. I'm like, how often is he practicing his throwing motion? That it's not gonna heal as fast as he wants it to if that's the case.
The amazing thing is, when he was doing that, he left a clean pocket, just like he does in real games.
Oh boy, that was teed up for you, Pete.
You're awful.
All right, Seahawks 2-4 Monday Night Football at home as a dog against the New Orleans Saints. Really weird to see Seattle at home in a primetime game getting that many points. Agree on Saints -5 there. Nothing else from the primetime games. Updated MVP odds. We have that. Kyler Murray, 4-1 to win MVP. Now has better odds than Josh Allen, who had that little stumble on the quarterback sneak, might have cost the Bills the game. Boy, Dak Prescott, he was the favorite to win Comeback Player of the Year by a lot. But now, number 3 in the MVP odds.
2 names. Lamar Jackson should be in this.
He's not anywhere on that list.
Derrick Henry.
Yes.
I mean, especially the way
they got to
the
keep
Titans,
winning, though.
Right, but the way they're creeping kind of back into that, the picture now in the AFC playoff picture and all that, Derrick Henry should be on this list.
If the Cardinals go 14-2 and he has the type of year, I think he's a lock to win it.
Yeah. Look, again, the hesitation is just, can they sustain this? They seem to lose steam in the second half of the year.
Everybody doubts the Cardinals. Everybody doubts it until
Pete, where's Trevon Diggs? I didn't see him on that list either.
Well, he's up for
Defensive Player of the Year.
I mean,
Yeah.
Can't win MVP?
I mean, if he gets 15 interceptions and returns.
But by
5,
the way,
maybe.
Dak's third on that list, and I would say, if you're a big Cowboys fan, put some money on Dak because the numbers he's putting up, the way that offense looks, he's playing some great football right now. The question with him too, though, is can he sustain it? Can that group sustain it? The Dallas, they have an easy division, but that's some of your concern moving forward. I think even with him, it's not just an Arizona or Kyler Murray thing. I think there's a number of teams that fall in that category.
It's the prove it thing.
Yeah.
Can you do it over the course of the entire season? Because so far, he's done it, Murray's done it, Prescott has done it. Can you do it over the course
Well,
of
the other one that's not on there is you see a guy like Aaron Rodgers that, the stats haven't necessarily been gaudy, but just watch as they keep playing. Watch them start to creep back up there. Him and Tom Brady. I mean, the older guys in that group, I think, are the ones that you got to keep an eye on too as we get into the later portions.
What's the most memorable thing you ever yelled to an opposing crowd? Like Rodgers had the.
Can't say that on here.
What did you say? I mean, there's got to be something you said.
Are we not ending the show yet? I mean,
No,
at some
we're still
point
going
this
there.
has to
Wait,
end, right?
What
Yeah,
was it?
You're right. There's 5
Here.
seconds left.
Here's what I'll tell you. So I was looking across, all right? We're in Baltimore.
He's stalling.
I sat there and I said, dude, you.
Oh,
See, I would have had a foul mouth. They would have had to throw things at me.
Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.